Guys, we are seeing a major escalation is in how the US government is responding not just to the immigration enforcement protest, but to the financing networks behind them. Yes, border Caesar Tom Homan has publicly stated that the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Homeland Security investigations are conducting a deep investigation into groups that may be coordinating and funding activities aimed at impeding IC operations. He has made it clear that these are not isolated protesters, but what he describes as well organized, well financed networks, and that authorities are preparing to follow the money and pursue accountability. Now, Homan has repeatedly emphasized that the focus is on individuals and groups actively obstructing enforcement efforts and creating risk for the men and women of immigration and custom enforcement in the field. So, guys, here is the critical context. People need to understand that this is not happening in any isolation. Federal law enforcement agencies have already been scrutinizing protest organizers and the funding channels connected to anti IC actions following a deadly incident involving an IC agent and a protester. That case intensified national debates around use of force, accountability, and the law enforcement transparency. And it accelerated a broader review of how protests are organized, financed, and coordinated. Now, authorities have made it clear this is not just rhetoric, there is an active investigative track force focused on identifying paid protest campaigns and financial backers tied to efforts that may cross the line from protest into obstruction. From a policy standpoint, this signals a significant shift. Federal authorities are increasingly framing certain protest actions not merely as expressions of dissent, but as a coordinated interference with federal operations. Funding is now viewed as the pressure point. The focus is no longer only on who shows up in the streets, but on who pays for the logistics, legal aid, transportation, communications, and media amplification. Financial networks are being treated as operational infrastructure. Traditionally, this approach was used against organized crime and trafficking networks, but it is now being applied to organized protest movements that authorities believe are deliberately blocking the enforcement activity. And there are also serious legal and constitutional questions involved to this. Peaceful protest is protected under the First Amendment, but long standing legal precedent makes clear that obstruction of federal operations or violence against the federal officers is not protected speech. When investigators say they will follow the money, that means examining non-profit funding streams, donor structures, coordinated fundraising efforts, and even potential foreign influence. When Homan says accountability is coming, he is signaling that prosecutors may pursue charges such as conspiracy, aiding and abetting, or interference with federal duties if coordination and intent can be proven. So, guys, this reframes the issue from protest rights to criminal liability. And there is also a political layer that really gets discussed openly. Immigration enforcement has become one of the most polarizing issues in the country. And investigations like this will inevitably be interpreted through partisan lenses. That makes transparency, due process, and evidentiary standards especially important as these cases move forward. How these investigations are handled will influence the public trust not just in immigration enforcement but in federal law enforcement more broadly. This development also has the major implications for civil society organizations. If funding streams for activist activity come under sustained federal scrutiny, some groups may scale back public actions out of legal caution. Others may challenge these investigations in court. The line between constitutionally protected protest and unlawful obstruction is likely to be tested repeatedly, and those legal battles will shape future protest movements across the country. So, guys, while the headlines focus on Tom Homan's declaration, the deeper story is about how financial investigations are becoming a primary enforcement tool. how civil liberties and law enforcement priorities are colliding, and how protest is itself may be redefined in years ahead. So, this is not just a political movement, it's a turning point in how power, protest, and accountability intersect in the United States. So, guys, thank you so much for joining and being with me till the end. I will continuously follow this story and will keep you updating on this. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think on the Tom Hammond's declaration? We'll see you guys in the next video. And if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe for such amazing breakdowns. Thank you.